is called the nootcase sook. Nootcase sook. Nootcase sook. This is a noisemaker. That's the comment section. Take a look over there or down in my videos and look for the nootcase sook audio demo. Blah, 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 blah. Thank you very much to Paul in the lab for his contributions to this community. He basically does Vero layouts, which is strip board. So Paul in the lab had released this thing called the Devil's Triangle. And it's 3 sawtooth oscillators from the Devil's Triangle, and then there is a sine wave oscillator, which is just worse. It sounds more like a theremin. Then here is an echo section with an LFO, and an LFO will modulate the echo. An LFO for filter section is over here, and that's a component that you find in a synthesizer. Filters the sound to a specific frequency. This is it's got a narrow bandwidth and a lot of resonance, this filter that's in here. So yeah, there's a manual control for the filter. You can bypass it or momentarily engage it. And then there's an LFO for that filter that you can bypass as well. This is the mixer section here, and then we have over here, let's see, what's this? This is LFO for the sine wave oscillator. And then there's more switching up here. What you do, this is an antenna piece with an LED on the end of it, and then there's the socket. So this piece plugs into the socket here, and this will power that LED and light it up, or it'll blink it. And you can adjust the rate and the depth, how bright it blinks, bright or dim. And then that slides into, it mates with this other antenna part that's internal. And at the end of that, on this side, there is a light sensor. So as this light, the LED, approaches the light sensor, it changes the pitch of the sine wave oscillator. So this is like an electronic slide whistle. It's the same idea as raising and lowering the pitch with one of these potentiometer controls, but it's done by sliding the light closer or further away. So at that point, I had built a slide synth. That is not my idea. It's a guy named Dino Segovas at Hack a Week, I think is his website, had released that, and I thought, oh man, I gotta build one of those. I thought, well, what would happen if we modulated this lamp rather than just have it constantly be glowing? If we had that, pulsing, it should theoretically, affect the pitch. And sure enough, that ended up working out. Now, it was a bit of trial and error. This project, it took me a while. So taking a look at the inside, we'll give you a quick rundown on what's actually in here. It does have an internal speaker, but on the back, there's a DC input. I'm going to put a battery pack in it too, but here is a speaker output. So if you don't want to use the built-in speaker, you plug whatever speaker you want, and it bypasses the internal one, and it will send the power amp audio out to whatever cabinet you need. And then there is a send and a return jack. Very useful picture. Here is the 3 oscillators for the Devil's Triangle. Here is the sine wave oscillator, and that's got a little adjuster on the inside there. I could end up moving that to the outside. There really isn't room to put any more pots on this device. It's getting pretty full. So we have the 2 oscillators here, controls here, controls here. There's the mixer segment. Here is the echo unit, and that from a company called Music PCB. It's a PT2399 modulation delay, and it does oscillate with feedback. Here is the amplifier module. That's a TDA Class D 2030. I think it's rated at 15 watts. It's really more like about 8. I'm running the power supply I've been running it is a 12 volt 3 amp. If we have any of those electrical engineer guys, maybe you could go ahead and do the math for me. 12 volt 3 amp on a TDA 2030, however many watts that is. If I buy something and it's a 30 watt amp board and I say it's 30 watts in the video, I'm really not trying to pull anybody's leg if it's 28. There's the mixer. This is the LFO for the filter, which is here. The filter board was a little Walkman kid toy. You slid an iPod inside of it, was like, remix, yo dog, get your remix on. whippity whack, and it had a big knob on it, like you could like wiki 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 or something, you know, wick wiki wick 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 wick, and it was a filter, which is like a wah wah, kind of like, and it was like remix, like. But I bought that. That was $1.99 at Goodwill, and I'm so glad I bought it. I removed the pot potentiometer that was on there, and then ran wires out to my own pot, and then hooked that into another combination of an LED with a light sensor, and then this circuit here pulses the LED. And there's a control for the rate and as well as the brightness of the pulses, and that worked out really good. Over here we have the modulation for the sine wave oscillator, which is here. So there's a modulation, an LFO board here and an LFO board here. This LFO board here controls the filter, and then this LFO board here controls the sine wave. There's a power board here with 2 voltage regulators on it. 12 volts comes in, it gets busted down to 9 and then busted down to 6. Antenna is, I used some plumber's tape to mount that down on one of the big heavy duty nuts for the speaker, so that's how that's held in place. 16 pots, 9 throw switches or toggles, and there's 3 momentary contacts. So going through this process, it was like, I started out with the triangle and the sine wave, and I put that in there, and then it was like, well, of course I gotta have the echo. I always have built-in echo in my projects. And then that echo kind of oscillates itself and modulates, so there was another feature there, a sound all on its own that's really cool. I had passive mixing at first, and then I was like, I put the mixture in, that was a huge improvement. Then I started playing around with these LFOs, and those, you can actually get those to produce some really cool artifacts on their own. There's tricks you can do with the LFO, it's just on there without any tone at all. So it kind of exponentially started multiplying into a lot more flexible unit. And then when I got done with it, it was like I'm looking at it and it's like there's 4 oscillators, there's a filter, there's, you know, how many LFOs are in this thing? There's 3, 1, 2, 3. There's 3 LFOs, 3 LFOs, 4 oscillators, 1 sine, 3 triangle. The sine can double it with a square, which I have to put a switch on here so I can get square if I want it. You know, the mixer section and the amp and the speaker. So it's like, well, with all of that, like, do I have to call it a noise box or is it really a synth? I mean, right? I mean, I see all these videos on YouTube and it's like
synth,
and it's a 555 chip. They're all 555 chips, which, I mean, I get it. I've been doing this stuff a long time. I'm not trying to toot my own horn or brag. I am a hack. I embrace that. That's who I am. I don't really know what I'm doing. I just enjoy doing this work, okay? And that's what I'm trying to spread through these videos is, you know, like what I did. I don't really know what I'm doing, but if you stick to it and you put some time and work in, you can make some really cool stuff. As I go along and I'm seeing all these guys like, my synth, you know, like, no, it's not a synth, it's an oscillator. Like, it's a one thing. It doesn't, you know, it does one thing. There's one noise that it does, and it goes up and it goes down, you know, and then it sputters. Like, so that's kind of a sore spot for me. It's like, I don't like people saying that they make synthesizers when they don't. That's the question I'm going to put up to you guys. Is this a synth? I realize there's no keyboard, but I mean, look at the buckle, whatever you call that thing. You know, that didn't have a keyboard. And I'm not comparing this to a buckle, but I'm just saying, is it a synth? So thank you very much for joining me in this unbelievably way too long chatty video. I encourage you to check out the audio demo for this thing. I'm going to try to produce a demo for it. I mean, you kind of really have to be in the room with it. There's so much that it can do. This is going to be a real challenging thing. So thanks for joining me. I'll look forward to seeing you in part 2 of the audio demo. Guys, thanks so much. Peace. Bone hacking.
boom.